Hello 460 students, our group has decided to do Disabilities in the Workplace. Our group members are Ryan Noel-Luttrell, Kimberly Thompson, and Kyle Van Epps. So here's what we plan to cover in our presentation. Firstly, why should I hire a person with a disability? Then how do I recruit a person with a disability? What do I need to know about hiring a person with a disability? And how do I retain that talent? So why should I hire a person with a disability? Competency and flexibility are skills that are highly sought after in most places of work. People with disabilities must think creatively about how to solve problems and accomplish tasks. Return on investment. Hiring people with disabilities creates diversity within your workplace. Having a diverse group of workers gives more opportunity for new perspectives. It can also open your business up to other customer markets that may have been neglected. Tax benefits. There are 3 types of tax benefits available to employers. The Disabled Access Credit, which helps pay for costs of accommodations such as providing interpreters, removing accessibility barriers, and modifying equipment. The Architectural and Transportation Barrier Removal Deduction helps businesses cover expenses to modifying company vehicles or entrances to buildings. The Work Opportunity Tax Credit Program can reduce an employer's income tax liability by almost $9,000 for hiring targeted groups of employees, including those with disabilities. Human capital benefits for federal employees. The federal government has rules that allow tax benefits and certain other incentives for hiring people with disabilities or disabled veterans. And now we'll watch a video about Johnny the Bagger. This is a person who had a really big impact on his customers and on his business.
A few years ago, I was hired by a large supermarket chain to lead a customer service program to build customer loyalty. During my speech, I said, "Every one of you can make a difference and create memories for your customers that will motivate them to come back." How? Put your personal signature on the job. Think about something you can do for your customer to make them feel special, a memory that will make them come back. About a month after I had spoken, I received a call from a 19-year-old bagger named Johnny. He proudly informed me he was a Down syndrome individual and told me his story.
"I liked what you talked about," he said, "but at first I didn't think I could do anything special for our customers. After all, I'm just a bagger. Then I had an idea," Johnny said. "Every night after work, I come home and find a thought for the day. If I can't find a saying I like," he added, "I just think one up."
When Johnny had a good thought for the day, his dad helped him set it up on the computer and print multiple copies. Johnny cut out each quote and signed his name on the back. Then he'd bring them to work the next day.
When I finished bagging someone's groceries, I put my thought for the day in their bag and say, "Thanks for shopping with us."
It touched me to think that this young man, with a job most people would say is not important, had made it important by creating precious memories for all his customers. A month later, the store manager called me.
"You won't believe what happened. When I was making my rounds today, I found Johnny's checkout line was 3 times longer than anyone else's. It went all the way down the frozen food aisle. So I quickly announced, 'We need more cashiers, get more lanes open,' as I tried to get people to change lanes. But no one would move. They said,
'No, it's okay. We want to be in Johnny's lane.
We want his thought for the day.'"
The store manager continued.
"It was a joy to watch Johnny delight the customers. I got a lump in my throat when one woman said,
"I used to shop at your store once a week, but now I come in every time I go by because I want to get Johnny's thought for the day.
A few months later, the manager called me again.
Johnny has transformed our store. Now when the floral department has a broken flower or unused corsage, they find an elderly woman or a little girl and pin it on them. Everyone's having a lot of fun creating memories. Our customers are talking about us. They're coming back and bringing their friends. A wonderful spirit of service spread throughout the entire store. And all because Johnny chose to make a difference.
Johnny's idea wasn't nearly as innovative as it was loving. It came from his heart. It was real. That's what touched his customers, his peers, and those who read this story. Great service comes from the heart. Will you be a Johnny today?
So now that we know some of the reasons why you should hire a person with disabilities, you may be asking, how do I recruit a person with disability? The first step is to be proactive. There are many sites out there, such as usbln.org, that are set up just to help find qualified applicants with disabilities. Ensuring access. AskJan.org is a great resource for employers to use, which can help them make sure that their workplace is accessible to all of its employees. There are also many mentor programs to help cultivate young people with disabilities that employers can access to find qualified applicants. And utilize new resources. Try and think outside the box. I've listed several resources already, but there are many, many others that you can look up on your own.
I'm Ryan, and I'll be covering the next several slides covering ADA. So, what do I need to know about hiring a person with a disability? The next few slides that we cover are just going to go through a discussion of lawful and reasonable accommodations via the Americans with Disabilities Act. So what is the ADA? The ADA is Americans with Disabilities Act. It was originated in 1990 and it was amended in 2008. This year marks the 25th anniversary. There are 5 different titles under ADA, and the one that we are going to talk about in particular is Title I. And Title I protects individuals with disabilities from being discriminated against in the workplace. It covers employers with 15 or more employees, including state and local employers. According to ADA.gov, the definition of a disability is as follows. A person who has a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits one or more major life activities. A person who has a history or record of such an impairment, or a person who is perceived by others as having such an impairment. Here are some examples of disabilities that are covered under ADA and ones that are not covered under ADA. To the left, the ones that are covered under the Americans with Disabilities Act include, but are not limited to, epilepsy, paralysis, HIV infection and AIDS, if someone has a substantial hearing or visual impairment, mental retardation or a specific learning disability, alcoholics, and recovering drug addicts. And while a current illegal user of drugs is not protected by the ADA, if an employer acts on the basis of such use, a person who currently uses alcohol is not automatically denied protection. An alcoholic is a person with a disability and is protected by the ADA if he or she is qualified to perform the essential functions of the job. An employer may be required to provide an accommodation to an alcoholic. However, an employer can discipline, discharge, or deny employment to an alcoholic whose use of alcohol affects their job performance or conduct. It also covers someone who has diabetes, someone with autism, someone who suffers from bipolar disease or cancer. And then some disabilities that are not covered under the ADA include individuals that have minor or non-chronic condition of or something that lasts just a short duration, such as a sprain or a broken limb. It can include the flu. Homosexuality and bisexuality are not covered under ADA. Compulsive gambling, pregnancy, and obesity are also not covered under ADA. So what are the employer's responsibility? An employer must make reasonable accommodations for persons with disabilities. According to ADA.gov, if the individual is qualified to perform essential job functions except for limitations caused by a disability, the employer must consider whether the individual could perform these functions with a reasonable accommodation. Also, according to ADA.gov, some examples of reasonable accommodation could include making facilities used by employees readily accessible to, and examples could be restructuring a job, modifying work schedules, acquiring or modifying equipment, providing qualified readers or interpreters, or modifying examinations, training, or other programs. Reasonable accommodation also may include reassigning a current employee to a vacant position for which the individual is qualified. If the person is unable to do the original job because of a disability, even with accommodation. However, there's no obligation to find a position for an applicant who is not qualified for the position sought. Below are some great resources for ADA compliance. But we want to make sure that you guys are aware, if you aren't sure about ADA, do your research, because failing to comply with the ADA laws and regulations can be very costly. Civil penalties can be anywhere from $55,000 for the first violation up to, but not exceeding, $110,000 for any subsequent violation. These resources, EEOC.gov, ADA.gov, and the SHRM website, that's where we got a lot of our information, and they can be great resources for you to use in the future. Here's a great video that we thought you guys would enjoy. It highlights persons with disabilities in the workplace.
When I was younger, my parents were told that I was never going to be able to be more than a vegetable. I would never be able to eat, walk on my own, talk, do anything that everybody does on a normal basis, and I do.
One voice in my head saying, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be better for you.
Having a disability check is not enough. It's like living in poverty.
I want to get a job. I have dreams. I have goals. I want to be a taxpayer.
People with disabilities are just like everybody else. Work has really helped me.
I work because I'm well, and I'm well because I work. It gives me a reason to get up in the day.
Having a job is making me do a lot more stuff. Just going out and doing stuff that other people can't do.
Hi, my name is Gary Furtado, and I'm CEO of Navigant Credit Union here in Northern Rhode Island. Charlie's been working at Navigant now for a little over 9 years. It definitely was a group effort from every one of the employees here to make this a successful transition for Navigant Credit Union, and it really has. I mean, again, 9 years have gone by, and Charlie is a very valuable employee to Navigant. He's one of the guys. Everyone talks about Charlie all the time and says how upbeat Charlie is, how positive Charlie is, and how he does his job very conscientious. Charlie is a very valuable employee to us, and we're very happy to have him here at Navigant.
Hey, hi, I'm Charlie. I've been working here for 9 years at Navigant Credit Union. And then I deliver the in-the-office mail, and then outgoing mail from the post office. Yeah, I love it. I love this job so much. And they're great people. They're great people here. They are always nice to me, and they're great. They are courteous and kind. Great people to work with. For any people with disabilities, they can get a job outside of our community, instead of working at a group home or any elsewhere.
For many years, people thought people with disabilities were not going to be able to work. People even thought that about myself. But nowadays, people with disabilities are getting into the workforce, and they want to be in the workforce.
I believe work is important because People with disabilities have talents and abilities.
I think it's important for people to work because they become part of their community, and it's all about giving back.
Because it makes your life better. It's one of the elements of recovery.
Work is really an important part of our own identity, where we fit in society.
Hi, my name is Kevin DeBonis. I've been here for 15 years. I'm back and I do carriages. I love the customers. I love my customers, and I love the atmosphere. I love paying my taxes. Having a job is making me do a lot more stuff, like doing activities and going out and having fun and money, and going out and having fun, and just going out and doing stuff that other people can't do.
Hey, my name is Lynn Fontaine. I'm a store director at Shaw's Supermarket. Kevin has been with Shaw's for 15 great years. He's a true asset to the store. I couldn't imagine the checkout department without Kevin. He's a bagger on the front end. He's great with customers, he's very outgoing, and honestly, he fits in great within the department. This experience, having Kevin working here, has been great for us here at Shaw's Supermarket, and I do encourage other employees to take advantage of it because I think it would be great for them too.
People with disabilities may have disabilities, but they also have abilities.
It's good to give people a chance. It's good to look beyond the barriers and to see the person for who they are.
Too many times, people out there assume that we can't do many things, that we don't know the answers, that we just want to sit home. We want people to help us do things. I think work is really an important part of who we are. You know, when you meet people like at a party, and one will say, "Hi, my name is Mary, what's your name? What do you do?" We want to say, "I do something."
My name is Allison, and I'm a graphic designer. I went to the Rhode Island School of Design. The state and my state services helped me go to school, helped me be on the dean's list every semester by having the supports I needed to go to school. I've graduated, and since then I've gotten the help I needed to start my own business so I can work to do the best that I can with my disability. Throughout my life, a lot of people have been hesitant about what I could do and what I couldn't do, and my parents were always very supportive though, and I grew up thinking I can do this, I can do what I want, and I didn't listen to those people who told me, "You have a wheelchair, you're not going to be able to do this," or "Are these goals really realistic for what you're going to be able to do?" And now I went to school. I have a bachelor's degree, I have my own business, and I'm doing what I wanted to do despite what everybody else said.
What are my goals for Allison? Well, I think my goals, I've already seen my goals. My only interest now is to see Allison continue with hers, to see her live independently as it's her choice, to see her direct her own life, do whatever she wants to do, whatever she decides. And I have no doubt that she continues to enlist people in her own dream and continues to have people recognize her for what she's able to do.
Allison has been coming to Allegra for over 3, maybe 4 years. Her work is wonderful. We never have to do anything extra to her files. We get them ready, we print them, we cut them, out the door they go. Her disability does not handicap her in any way. She comes, she never seems to be slowed down by anything. We call her, she gets here. She seems to be doing a great job with what she's been handed in life.
Sometimes when we have not yet experienced work, I think it can be really scary. Sometimes we doubt ourselves. Sometimes we spend too much time listening to people say, "She can't walk, he can't speak, she can't hear." Put all of that aside. Don't even think about disability. Think about your skills.
People with disabilities, you can get a job. It doesn't matter how much, it won't take your benefits away. It's a dream to do what you're doing. I say this all the time. You can't let anybody stop you from doing what you want to do in your dream, to do what you want to do in life.
It can help you build self-esteem, it can help you build your self-confidence, it can give you a sense of purpose and mission in life, it can help you overcome barriers that you never thought you could overcome.
You just have to keep trying and dream big and know what you want to do.
It's important that you not put barriers on yourself and just be all you can be.
It can help you be a tremendous asset, not only to your own family, but to your entire community. And you can feel just the tremendous power of work and vocation and have the ability to be the best you can be.
People who are disability can work.
Having a job is really important because you like working with new people, having new skills.
Having a job has given me something to do. It's keeping me busy. It's letting me work with other people. And it's giving me money to work towards my goals.
Often people say, so what do you do for a living? So why not say, I go to a job that really excites me. I make lots of friends. I'm involved in the community. I get money, which helps pay the bills. And I feel good about myself.
One thing we have to learn is to take the negative, use it for the future, turn it around and make something productive, positive come out of it.
It's going to be a hard mountain to climb, but when you reach the top, when you get that growing grass, it's like you've done things, like you reached your banner, you reached your dreams, and you reached your whole life, and you've done things that you are proud of, and you have a tear or a cry or a joyful or a vibe, and people like it, and people want it, and people have a spirited personality in it. And I just think that people have to have hope in themselves. They have to believe in themselves.
Some people face challenges, but challenges can be overcome. Employment can work for you. It has worked for me.
Hi, my name is Kimberly Thompson, and I'm going to go through the next few slides. The next slides that we discuss are about retaining talent, specifically through using the Family Medical Leave Act, which we will refer to as FMLA, and the legalities of employment retention. What is FMLA? FMLA stands for the Family Medical Leave Act. The leave was signed into law on February 5, 1993 by President Bill Clinton and went into effect on August 5, 1993. The Family Medical Leave Act is still large group employer law. It was designed to promote a work-life balance. It is a federally mandated law, meaning that laws can be altered by state, but they can't detract from any of the federally mandated laws that are established. It provides job protection for employees with serious health issues, as well as for employees who are caring for parents, children, and spouses with serious health conditions. In almost every I want to talk about that bullet point in particular, because in almost every circumstance, when hiring a person with a disability, we would look to make ADA accommodation first. The Family Medical Leave Act protects individuals in which the ADA accommodation there may just be no reasonable solution to accommodate an employee with a disability. It also provides protection for members of the military, as well as for employees caring for the needs of immediate family members of the military. Let's talk about the conditions of FMLA, because not every disability or health concern is acknowledged under the Family Medical Leave Act. Specifically, what is covered under the FMLA is the birth of a child, employee adoption or foster care placement, or to care for a newly adopted child within the first year of the event, an employee's serious health condition. Now, the word serious is something we're going to get into talking about just a little bit more, because not every health condition is considered serious. To care for a parent, spouse, or child with a serious health condition. To care for any necessity concerning a person of active duty military status, or for an employee to care for a necessity concerning an immediate family member while on active duty military status. With military status, some situations are given a 26-week entitlement as opposed to the standard 12-week entitlement of the Family Medical Leave Act. In this slide, we talk a little bit about FMLA entitlement and the eligibility rules for the Family Medical Leave Act. Employees must work 12 months or the equivalent of 1 year on the job. They must have worked over 1,250 hours. The business must be a large group employer, meaning at least 50 employees live within a 75-mile radius of the business. The FMLA covers both the public and the private sector. It allows job protection for up to 12 weeks of employment taken all at once or intermittently. Now, that's really important because a lot of us think of things like maternity leave, for instance, where we know someone probably is going to be out the full 12 weeks in a row, or possibly like a surgery or something that has downtime and recovery time associated with it. There are many conditions in which a person is either away for episodes concerning doctor's visits or reasons of incapacity, such as a medical condition or a disability that prevents a person from being able to come to work or to do the job. The Family Medical Leave Act does not mandate that an employer pay the employee during the absence, but does require the employer coverage of healthcare premiums during that absence. So this is really important because the pay portion of Family Medical Leave Act is separate from the leave portion of the Family Medical Leave Act. I'm going to say that again. The pay portion of FMLA is separate from the leave portion of Family Medical Leave Act. There is no federally mandated coverage that states that an employer has to pay an employee while they are on leave. The Family Medical Leave Act is simply to protect a person's job when some type of disability or illness prevents a person from coming to work. Let's talk a little bit about how the Family Medical Leave Act works for individuals with disabilities and for employees who care for those with disabilities. First, again, Ryan discussed a little bit about the American Disabilities Act. Reasonable accommodations must first be considered through the ADA laws. And that's both for, employees with disabilities as well as for those caring with those with disabilities. The Family Medical Leave Act covers treatments and episodes for serious health conditions and to care for immediate family with serious health conditions. Again, the Family Medical Leave Act also covers concerns dealing with the health, safety, and welfare of active duty military and their families. We're going to talk a little bit about serious health conditions. Earlier I said that it covers employees with serious health conditions or for employees to care for family members with serious health conditions. The Department of Labor defines a serious health condition as a physical or cognitive impairment requiring treatment by a healthcare provider, care that requires overnight treatment in a medical facility, conditions that incapacitate a person that may require some type of medical care, chronic medical conditions that require treatment at least twice a year, and pregnancy. Let's talk a little bit about how the Family Medical Leave Act may correlate a little bit towards the presentation that we're doing on disabilities in the workplace. I kind of wanted to share with you some examples that I was able to gather through various websites. There are some very specific conditions in which it's pretty obvious that Family Medical Leave Act would be granted for. An employee caring for a child, for instance, with an intellectual disability like autism. If that child requires treatment like occupational therapy, physical therapy, speech therapy, has periods of incapacity, maybe situations in which the child can't leave the home due to behavioral concerns or some type of cognitive impairment, it allows the parent who cares for that child to take intermittent FMLA, for instance, in that type of a situation. We all think about, things like cancer and HIV and AIDS. Those are obviously chronic conditions, some conditions that are terminal and some that are just chronic conditions that are not terminal, like multiple sclerosis, for example. Those would all be examples of disabilities and medical conditions in which it would be reasonable to consider family medical leave. An employee, for instance, who cares for an elderly parent, maybe a parent with a handicap or a parent who has to make multiple routine doctor visits to follow up, on concerns, or has issues with periods of incapacity where, say, for instance, the person can't leave the house or has no one to care for them. The employee obviously could take, it would be reasonable for the employee, I guess is what I want to say, to take family medical leave in that situation.
So to conclude our presentation, I just wanted to talk about a couple of interesting things that we found when we were looking up this information. It's estimated that nearly 70% of people living with an IDD disability are unemployed. And this is a really large group of potential employees to simply overlook. And almost 5 million people living in the U.S. have some form of a learning disability. The Institute for Corporate Productivity is a company that analyzes high-performing businesses, They released a study that looked into these companies and their IDD hiring practices. The study showed that hiring people with IDD has many benefits to the workforce of a company. 75% of the companies polled rated their IDD employees as good to very good on performance factors. 47% of those businesses said that hiring IDD workers helped create a culture of inclusion that made their business more attractive to a larger talent pool. Many companies have stated goals of increasing diversity in their workforce, and hiring people with disabilities is a great way to help align the business culture and those goals. 57% of the companies polled in the I4PC report stated that they hired people with IDD because they were good talent matches for the positions they had available. People with disabilities find new ways to make things work for themselves. Hiring people with disabilities increases workplace diversity and inclusion, and it gives access to people who are highly adaptable and flexible in many situations, which will greatly benefit your place of work.